Today's a big day for the Mustang. We have a bunch of parts, a bunch of stuff to get through. Jamal is unfortunately not here to help me film, which I think is probably a blessing in disguise because I need to just hammer away at getting some work done. So I'll probably just set up some time lapses and just get to work and then update periodically. It won't be a bunch of detail. If you want to see a bunch of detail about the car, I have a series on the channel called Build Breakdown. We get into a bunch of the little details about some of the parts that I've made and the design of everything. Other than that, I need to clean up the garage. There's a bunch of parts and tools everywhere. I'll show you all the parts I have and then we'll get to work. Garage is mostly cleaned up. I want to go through the parts with you guys real quick. And we're gonna start with the GTR parts because there's less of those. I was able to find a front drive shaft. So this goes from the front differential to the transfer case. I was also able to find the driver's side axle, but they came as a pair. So now we have a spare for the passenger side. Now for more of the general Mustang parts. We have subframe connectors, connect the frame up underneath, give us some more rigidity. Next is a manual steering rack. We're not doing power steering on this car. We'll probably do electric power steering at some point. But to start with, we're not doing power steering. It was gonna be crazy to try to get all that to fit. Not even sure this will fit, because where the steering shaft comes out, that has to go into the firewall, might hit one of the axles. So we need this to see if everything will fit. We have a brand new throttle body for the engine. We have a new clutch disc. This clutch disc actually has different splines on the inside. So my old transmission had 10 splines. The new transmission is 26. I almost forgot about a GTR part. It's not a part from a GTR, but it's for a GTR. The brakes. I'm really hoping the company I ordered this from put a coating on it and not paint. That would suck. But yeah, we needed new front brakes, so we have those. These two pieces go hand in hand. This is for a GTR, this is for a Mustang, or at least a T5 transmission, which is what my Mustang came with. This would be an adapter plate that you would use on like a older like Fox body Mustang to adapt the newer SN95 transmissions because they're a little bit, the input shaft is a little bit longer. So I'd use that. And then this is from a GTR. This is the front cover to the GTR transmission. So whenever we get that in, we'll cut that bell housing off and then find a way to bolt these together so that we can adapt that transmission to my bell housing. We do front cover and pulleys for the engine. Motor plate that I bought uses different bolt pattern. The S95s use a different water pump and front timing cover, and it's way different from any of the other Mustangs with the same motor. It's easier just to buy this front timing cover because then you can buy just general 302 Ford stuff and not have to worry about if it fits on the S95 front timing cover and water pump stuff. So for things like the alternator, I have a kit that I tried to buy a long time ago that I didn't realize didn't work with my water pump and timing cover that I can actually use now for this. We have coilovers for the front. They're double adjustable, so we have rebound and compression adjustment. I don't know these are necessarily gonna be the highest quality coilovers, but they'll at least allow us to mock stuff up. And if we have to upgrade in the future or at least change out the springs, I'm okay with that. Small nuts and bolts, gaskets, belts, spacers and stuff for the steering rack, just random stuff we needed. Lastly, we have a water pump to go with that new front timing cover since it is a different bolt pattern. There are more parts coming. There is a very large part coming, hopefully in the next couple days that you guys will not be able to see in this video, or maybe I'll just throw it in at the end. But yeah, tons of parts coming in, plenty more to order at some point. We are still waiting on the CNC machine. That is definitely on order. It is coming. Just taking a long time because they have to ship it on a boat over here. Other than that, I think we're gonna get started working on the car. The couple things I want to do today is try to get the subframe connectors on, start cutting some of the firewall out. I can't cut the firewall until we get the subframe connectors on because I don't know how the car is gonna warp, but if we get those connectors on, I won't worry about that. And then we need to get that cross brace in the front so we can start mocking up the suspension. Well, just like with any project, you're gonna have setbacks. I just spent majority of the day trying to mess with these subframe connectors and get them on, and they will not. But I think with the remaining light that I have, I may go ahead and try to cut that brace and get that in the front. So I'm probably going to get a template cut, because the frame rails aren't quite straight on these cars, they bow out just a little bit. So I'm gonna get some cardboard, cut a little template, trace it onto the metal, and then cut that and at least get it tacked in place. I don't know if we'll fully weld it just yet, but at least get that tacked in place. We should be able to do that today. Well, we already had one big setback today with the subframe connectors. And I was hoping to get this bar in. You can guys kind of see it laying right there. I went to go cut it, and when I was cutting the angle, I cut the one side, and at some point it got flipped, and then I started cutting the other side. And I cut the angle like one square off. Not the biggest deal, because you can kind of shape that other side to get it in place, but then you have like a, you know, 1/4 inch gap to span between, and when you're welding you want it as close as possible. So that is now just scrap metal. We'll probably use it for something else in the future, but I need to go get another one of those. And today was, and honestly this weekend was just all kind of scrapped. But that's what you get when you're building an incredibly custom car. You're gonna have really good days where everything seems like it's working, and you're gonna have other days where absolutely nothing works. I think I'm gonna call it for today. Not for the video, but just for today. I'm gonna try to pick up next week and hope everything gets some more metal and hope everything goes a lot better. And hopefully figure out something we can do with those subframe connectors and hopefully turn this thing around. We're back on a new week of hopefully not ruining things and messing parts of the car up. Now I have solutions for fixing that stuff. I've already ordered new pieces for the control arm, so hopefully those will be what we need. I've also already put the subframe connectors in. I did those off camera. There's tons of videos out there if you want to go see subframe connectors we put on a 1994 Mustang. We also have a new piece of metal to cut for the brace, and we are just going to quadruple check everything so it doesn't get turned on the wrong side when I go to cut it like I did last week. So those are the main things we're gonna hit today. We have to cut the floor, put the brace in, because I have to cut the floor to make enough room for me to get in there and weld the brace. And then we also, I don't know if you guys can see down there, the front diff is right there. And so I have some stuff 3D printing upstairs that will allow us to cut some holes on a sheet of really thick metal that will be a plate that we bolt on the top and then make some mounting holes from that. I'm also yet again alone for filming today. It's like 1 a.m. so Jamal, like, he's probably sleeping. So I'll probably just set up some time lapses and get to working. That's the easiest way for me to just knock a bunch of stuff out. That's kind of the goal at this point, because last week I was supposed to finish this stuff, so we need to kind of just speed through it. We're gonna take the time and do it right, but just stuff needs to get done. That's a pretty crazy sight. Now we're obviously used to cutting up the car, we've done it before, but there's kits out there to replace the front of your car, just the way that we're doing it. Not a kit to replace your floor pan. So it might look smaller than what we did to the front, but it is quite a bit scarier to cut, because if you mess up, that's just gonna make it harder to put it back. Not really much weight, but that's a big piece. Still gonna need to cut out some for the motor. That's not gonna be nearly enough. That was just, this is where the bell housing goes, and it's real tight to the bell housing, and we're gonna need to put a whole motor here. So definitely gonna have to cut more, but probably not tonight, because I wanna get the motor up there first and get it under the car and then lower the car down onto it. I don't wanna cut too far over side to side, because that's just gonna make it harder to put it back and more material in the future. But this is definitely a big step for us. Quick, before we do that, I went to go check on the 3D print that we're gonna be using to make the template for the diff mount. That's what it looks like. It's just a bar with holes in it, I measured the studs and the diameter of them and then made this piece. Then we're gonna take this sheet of metal, place it on there, on that side. The other side will have, this one has 5 holes, the other one will have 4. And then mark them, drill it, set it on top, bolt it down, and then we have just a giant plate on top to make some mounts for it. This will be coming in a later video, but then once that plate is sitting on top of the diff, on that crossbar, that beam we're about to weld in, we're gonna have these. We'll also have something on the back, so that if this is the front of the diff and this is the back, we'll have these on the front to lower the angle, and then we'll have probably 3 or 4 holes in the back where we can lower the front and then lower the back as well, not as adjustable. We may use adjustability on the back, may use some turnbuckles, but probably not. Where we can lower the whole thing down if we need to drastically raise the height of the whole thing. Just because we don't know how it's quite gonna line up yet, what's gonna be the optimal pinion angle. We just wanna have some adjustability. Again, maybe not going with these on the back, but also maybe, but yeah. After way too much cutting, so much cutting that the camera turned off and I didn't notice, we have the bar in. Right now it's just kind of wedged in there, but I'm gonna go through and just tack a couple on the top and sides and then around that back. Probably won't do anything on the bottom just yet. I'll drop the K-member another day and get a few tacks on the bottom. That way it'll be strong enough we can go ahead and start mocking up the coilovers and get that part of the suspension figured out. They're by no means the best tacks in the world. Some are better than others. That one's crap. That one's decent. But the goal is pretty much just for it to be strong. The looks can come later. I just needed to hold the weight of the coilovers. And again, before we set it down on its own, we'll fully weld them in. But this should be good for now. This should also hopefully give you guys a better idea of what I was talking about with the coilovers. So we have this brace here. There'll be a push rod coming up through the shock tower and then a big rocker arm. And they should be able to sit a little something like this. Every day that we make progress, it gets me so excited because we're able to mock up new parts, whether it's stuff we made or stuff we've ordered. And that just gets me so excited because I know what I have it imagined in my head as. I think it looks so cool. And the fact that what was in my head is now in real life is such a cool feeling. The last thing we're gonna be doing in this video is making that plate for the diff. We won't really be able to like mount it because we need to make some tabs and I'll need to 3D print some stuff and then probably CNC it. We might be able to weld some tabs in, we'll see. But we can at least hold it up there and kind of get a good idea of how it's gonna look, and then that'll be it for this video. Now all we gotta do is just get some bolts and probably some lock washers. If you can see, there's like a little lip on these where it's not threaded and it's just barely sticking up. So if we put a lock washer down and then a nut, it'll just hit the lock washer. And if we can get a regular washer in there too, that'd be good. After that, the only thing would be to make some tabs for those turnbuckle pieces I showed you. Those will be in a build breakdown video. We're gonna 3D model those and get them ready. And then we'll have one on here and then one on that cross brace I just welded in. And then we can adjust it, adjust the pinion angle. And then again, still figuring out what we're doing for the back. That might just be a static kind of mount that may have some just up and down height adjustment with 3 or 4 different holes. Or we might do it adjustable, I don't know, we will see. I think that's all I got for you guys today. I apologize for this video taking so long. We haven't had a really large update video in a while. We've been doing those build breakdown videos, which if you haven't seen those, go watch them. They have a lot of information. If you guys see random things pop up or like, where did that come from? Or how do you make that? Those videos are gonna explain it. Not every little detail is gonna get explained in here. Like we made a new mount for the bottom of the knuckles that had a different angle on it. I showed those in one of the first videos, so I didn't go back and show it in this video again. But if you wanna see how all this stuff works, I think we made a lot of progress though, even though it took a while and we had to get some parts and redo some things. I'm actually sitting on the piece I welded in earlier. So I'm glad that is strong, and I'm glad we finally got it welded in. That's been a big thing on my mind recently because everything for the front is kind of based off of this, between the coilovers and the diffs and where all the axles line up. Really is surrounded off of this. So glad that works. I hope it continues to hold me while I film the rest of this. Otherwise, maybe it'll be funny for you guys, but it's gonna hurt for me. Other than that, we still have a ton of parts to get through. I'm looking at it right now. We have the steering rack, the axles, the front drive shaft. I can't remember what I mentioned last week. We're gonna have to get the driver's side axle and the front drive shaft lengthened just because of how far back the motor sits and then how wide the track width of this thing is gonna be. We have the front steering rack, which is gonna be interesting to figure out. I mocked it up already off camera, and it looks like it might just barely clear the driver's side axle, and then we can just not worry about the steering at all. We just mount it up and we're good to go. We still have coilovers. We have to figure out the push rod suspension. That's gonna be a I'm probably gonna do a full video on that, full big video just on designing that, because that's gonna be intense. And then we still have motor stuff to do. So we have all the front pulleys, a new timing cover, a new water pump, the intake, a lot of cool motor stuff to do, and then actually see how the motor fits in here and start making mounts with our front motor plate. We're gonna try to put out these bigger videos a lot sooner. Again, we had, with Jamal not helping me and then all the stuff that failed last week, it just was hard to get this one out. We're still doing plenty of build breakdown videos, but we really wanna give these big update videos because I feel like that's where majority of the audience is gonna be. Not everybody wants to see those little details. We're giving them to the people that want them, but I know some people just want to see the build get done, and that's what we're giving you. So we're gonna try to get those out a little bit sooner. We're gonna have setbacks, so just bear with us. And if you're excited for bike content, I currently have the GSXR 750 kind of on the chopping block. It's getting some new fairings, a bunch of work to it. There's gonna be a separate video about that. We're gonna just do it in one video. There's no need to split it up. So if you guys are looking for that, I know I've mentioned it a handful of times in some other videos. That's coming soon. And then when we're done with that, I don't want 3 projects at a time, but I think 2 I can handle. We'll start on the Ducati because I'd really love to get that finished and riding by this year. Other than that, I really hope you guys are enjoying these videos and this build. It's super exciting just being able to have the opportunity to do this. It's cool enough to just own one of these cars, but then to build it in something crazy and something not a lot of people have seen before, and something that's been done similarly in the past, but we're making it our own. It's just super cool. I've had plenty of people reach out and like DM me and that they're rooting for me, and it's just super cool to be doing this. I think that's all I got for you guys. I'll see you in the next one.